Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our info session for program evaluation, postgraduate certificate for the spring-summer 2026 term. My name is Mushar Chaudhry, and I'm the manager of recruitment and sales for the Chang School. Now, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which Toronto Metropolitan University is built upon. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and Haudenosaunee that bound them to protect the territory and share the land. I thank the Indigenous people of Turtle Island for their efforts to protect the land, and I deeply regret the past injustices they have endured. As Toronto Metropolitan University seeks to move forward in partnership with Indigenous people, I pledge to foster an environment that is more inclusive and welcoming of all Indigenous peoples from all communities. Now, I'd like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's session. Your microphone is muted throughout the event so as not to disturb other attendees or our presenters. For the hearing impaired, we have automated captioning available, which you can access by activating it in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. You can submit your questions for our speakers at any time by typing them into the question box of the control panel, and we'll collect them throughout the session and address them during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. Now I'm delighted to introduce our panel for today. First, we have Sarah Weisbrod, Program Manager for Continuing Education at the Chang School. Next, we have Dr. Meg Gaznov, a course reviewer and instructor of the program, and also Dr. Aubrey Wilson, Program Director of Continuing Education at the Chang School. So before we get started on the presentation, I'd like to do a quick Mentimeter poll with everyone. I'm gonna share my screen, and if you can take a look at that, you will see it's asking you to join at menti.com. So if you can pop up your browser just for a few seconds, it'll be really fast, I promise. And go to menti.com and type in the code that's shared on the screen. So it's 64805479. And we want you to answer two questions for us. The first one is what motivated you to consider the certificate? And we have a few options there: career advancement, career change, skill building for current role, personal interest, and other. Awesome. Yeah, we've got some votes coming in. Looks like career advancement is the highest, and then a few skill building for current role. Thank you for participating in this. It really helps us provide feedback to the team. So we'll leave that on for just a few more seconds, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so here's question number two, which is what is your current level of knowledge in this field? So it's field of program evaluation. And yeah, same thing, just put in your votes. We've got high, I'm well informed about the field, moderate, basic awareness, and then low, I have minimal or no prior knowledge, which is completely fine. And okay, we've got a few votes coming in for moderate. I have basic awareness. We'll leave it on for just a few more seconds for the rest of the people to vote in. Yeah, I really like Mentimeter as a tool. It's quite interactive, nice colors, good to see, and it's live, so you get to see the responses come in real time. Okay, so a couple of people with high, well informed about the field as well. Thanks for taking part in this. We'll now end it, and Luke, I'll give it back to you to share the presentation. And I'll invite our program manager for continuing studies, Sarah to provide a brief overview of the certificate. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Mashur. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the information session for our fully online postgraduate certificate and program evaluation. As Mashur said, my name is Sarah Weisbrod, and I'm the program manager of the continuing education team here at the Chang School. And I'm really thrilled to guide you through this exciting opportunity that can enhance your career prospects and professional skills. Let's take a moment to go over some quick facts about the postgraduate certificate and program evaluation. First, this program is delivered fully online with weekly live sessions, offering you the flexibility to study from anywhere. You'll progress through 4 courses that are taken in sequence, allowing you to build on your knowledge systematically. The courses are applied in nature and project-based, providing you with the opportunity to tackle and address real-world issues and situations that you may find in the workplace. The courses are taught by industry practitioners. These are program evaluation professionals who are established in the field and have deep applied knowledge of the area. The program can be completed in as little as 1 year, but you have up to 3 years if you need a bit more time to balance your studies with other commitments. The total cost of the program ranges approximately from 3,800 to 3,900 Canadian, and you can anticipate to spend approximately 5 to 8 hours a week on coursework. To join, you'll need an undergraduate degree or equivalent professional experience. If you're unsure whether your qualifications meet those admissions requirements, please don't hesitate to reach out to our client services team. They're here to help you navigate the process and answer any questions you might have. So with that overview of the program, let's discuss who this program is for. So first, it's perfect for those who already hold an advanced degree in a research-intensive field. So whether that's in business, the humanities, health, or another area, and are now seeking a career transition outside of academia. If you're looking to apply your research skills in new impactful ways within the field of program evaluation, this program really offers the specialized knowledge and credentials to help you make that shift. Secondly, the program is designed for professionals who are already employed in roles related to program evaluation and are looking to pivot or advance their careers. If you're seeking to deepen your expertise, take on more significant responsibilities, or move into leadership roles within your current organization or beyond, this certificate will really equip you with the tools needed to achieve those goals. So whether you're transitioning from an academic setting or aiming to advance in your current career path, this program is really tailored to help you succeed in the field of program evaluation. So now let's take a look at some of the courses in the certificate. So the postgraduate certificate in program evaluation is comprised of the 4 courses listed here. And the first 2 courses are planned to be offered this spring 2026, starting the first week in May. The first course is designed to provide you with the foundations of program evaluation, including a knowledge of the history, theories, methodologies, functions, and tools of program evaluation. That's just in a nutshell. It is a prerequisite for CYPG 621 and 622, the next 2 courses, and should be taken before those courses to best set you up for success. So let's now explore the key outcomes you can expect to achieve upon completing this program. First, you'll be equipped to apply those core philosophies, theories, and ethical considerations in your evaluation practice. This foundational knowledge will guide your approach to every aspect of program evaluation. You'll also learn how to utilize a range of evaluation tools and methodologies in a manner that's not only appropriate, but also equitable and ethical. This means being able to select the right tools for the job while ensuring that your evaluation practices are fair and just. Taking a human-centered approach and understanding how to work with clients and other interested parties is critical to any evaluation practice. You'll learn how to work with diverse audiences and apply these skills to core practices such as assessing needs, defining the scope and evaluation, and selecting the optimal methodology. You'll understand how to design evaluations that are both effective and aligned with the specific needs of your clients. A unique and essential component that this program incorporates is recognizing the impact of social and political systems on vulnerable and historically marginalized populations during evaluations. You'll demonstrate an understanding of how to conduct evaluations with an acute awareness of these dynamics, ensuring that your work is inclusive and also socially responsible. Finally, you'll be able to make actionable recommendations. Whether it's improving programs or driving organizational change, Your recommendations will be rooted in thorough analysis and aimed at achieving tangible, positive results. It's important to mention that the program outcomes are mapped to the competencies established by the Canadian Evaluation Society, or CES. This alignment ensures that the skills and knowledge you gain are recognized and valued within the professional community, preparing you to meet the standards expected of a program evaluator in Canada. Overall, these outcomes will prepare you to excel in the field of program evaluation, ensuring that your work not only meets professional standards, but also contributes to meaningful social change. Let's take a look at some of the career opportunities this program may equip you for in the field of program evaluation. So you can see there's a long list here of different professions that you can go into, and graduates of this program will be well prepared for a variety of roles within the field of program evaluation and beyond. So some of the key positions you might pursue include program evaluator, program specialist, a program coordinator, program manager. For those interested in roles that bridge research and practical application, you might look at a knowledge transfer specialist, research and program evaluation analyst, research and program evaluation specialist, or research impact specialist. So finally, if you have a keen eye for detail and you really want to focus on standards, you might be looking at quality assurance specialists. These career pathways really highlight the versatility and also value of the skills you'll gain in this program, preparing you for a dynamic and impactful career in program evaluation and related fields. Lastly, let's talk about the application process. So the first thing you would do is start by preparing an updated resume. You'd want to include your most recent and relevant experience in education. Once your resume is ready, proceed to complete the online application form. This form is going to ask you for basic personal information, details about your academic background, and any relevant professional experience. Towards the end of filling out the form, you'll be prompted to upload your resume. You can do so then. And then finally, review your application to make sure everything is complete, and then submit the form. Once you've submitted it, you'll receive a response from the Chang School Client Services team within about 48 business hours. For holidays, there might be an exception to that. It might be a bit longer. If you have any questions or need any assistance at any point during the application process, our team is available to help, so please feel free to reach out. So in addition to the courses themselves, I do want to highlight that as a learner at the Chang School, and a part of the community, you have a wide range of supports and resources that are really designed to help you succeed with learning with us. There is a long list here, ranging from financial supports, mentoring, connecting with peers and industry professionals. So that's part of the benefits that you receive as part of being a Chang School student. So this concludes my portion of the presentation for our postgraduate certificate in program evaluation. I hope this overview provided you with some valuable insights into what our program offers, from the flexibility and the practical focus to the diverse career pathways available to graduate. At this point, I'd like to hand the mic back to Mashroor, who will carry on with the next part of the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that insightful overview. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of our program reviewers, as well as principal consultant and founder of Strategic Measures, Dr. Meg Gazanov, bringing years of experience from U of T, McMaster, and the City of Toronto. Thank you again for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. I am Meg, and I'm happy to be involved with this program. Just a bit about myself. My background actually is in sociology from the Ohio State University. So I got my master's, my PhD there, thinking I was going to head into research, but I always knew I wanted to do applied research. So I did take a whole bunch of courses in surveys, like survey research, quantitative methodology, and then as much hands-on experience as I could get. So I knew I wasn't going to stay in academia. So I actually built myself a career across the range, including research, but also evaluation and strategy and public policy. And as Mashur was saying, I got to work at a couple different universities, and then also City of Toronto in roles in public health and in homelessness, social assistance. So moving from sociology or research into evaluation was definitely a natural fit. There is a strong connection between understanding the world around you that you learn about in sociology and being an evaluator, on making sense of data, And as an evaluator, a lot of your work is finding out, whether programs are working and how they work, and if they don't, why not, and if they do, why and for whom. So having that kind of sociology and research background gives you a strong foundation in the methodology, but also really understanding that bigger picture of context. And so after working in the field for a while, I became a credentialed evaluator through the Canadian Evaluation Society. So this program will give you, and it's based on those competencies in the Evaluation Society's credentialed evaluator program. So I definitely would say that that is something to keep in mind as well when you do look at different options for further study. Today, I run my own consulting business where I do help organizations help them to design strategies, to measure performance, and to evaluate their programs. And so this has given me a lot of interesting opportunities. I think what helps me to succeed is being curious, staying open to learning, a lot of research rigor and real world evidence. That connection is really key. Building strong relationships. So you'll see in the courses as well the strong importance of having good relationships with everyone from frontline staff to senior leaders to the program participants. And then also having that values the values that you bring. So equity, inclusion, the social impact. So I would be happy to answer any questions that come along, and hopefully I'll see some of you in the courses ahead.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that and sharing your journey with us, Meg. Next, I'll invite our program director, Dr. Aubrey Wilson, for continuing education at the Chang School, and Aubrey can talk a little bit about some highlights of the program.
Great. Thanks, Ms. Sher. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, for taking time out of your day, maybe out of your lunch break, to learn more about the program evaluation program. It's a pleasure to have you here. My name is Dr. Aubrey Wilson, and as Ms. Sher mentioned, I'm the program director for the program evaluation program here at the Chang School. I think this program is really interesting because I also come from an advanced degree where I did take many research courses to do research in my degree. But looking at program evaluation, it's a really interesting field because you can definitely take all of those really great skills, the research skills that you learned in your advanced degree, or perhaps whether it was a master's or higher, and you can transform those into something that looks a little bit different. So if you have thought about pursuing a career in academia and you were thinking about maybe doing a job pivot into industry, this is definitely a program that will help you do that. It takes all of the things that you may have learned from a research perspective, from an academic perspective, and it puts them into really practical, industry relevant frameworks. So the program is meant for people of any skill set to join. It really does take you from, that foundational level and skills you up. So if you don't have a research background, that's totally okay. You can absolutely join the program and still be very successful in it. It has a lot of practicality, so you will actually be engaging in projects that are real world based. There are no exams. So you can expect to be applying your knowledge as you walk through all of your courses and then all of your assessments as well. There's a really nice feedback loop. So all of our instructors are also practicing program evaluators. So you'll get that real world experience kind of infused into those live sessions that you'll have with your instructor every week, and then on the feedback that you'll be receiving with your assessments as well. So you can expect a really practical hands-on experience. So if you're feeling hesitant about maybe branching into a new career field, I will say, whether you're coming with a research background or not, a lot of the things that you'll be learning and applying in the program are probably very similar to a lot of the things that you do in your day-to-day. So it's a very practical program, transferable skills that you can take with you going forward. So I look forward to seeing you in the classroom. And please do let us know if you have any specific questions. We'd love to talk to you about the program or answer anything that you might want to know.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Aubrey. So yeah, let's dive in. Now it's time for our Q&A. I know we've got a few questions that have come in already. So yeah, inviting everyone else to put in your questions. So the couple of questions about class and how are they recorded or what the schedules are like? So if we could just maybe clarify that a little bit. So first question is, are the classes recorded? If so, can we watch the class on a different day of the week? And then the other one is, would you be able to confirm the class dates as the schedule says 11 classes in total? So they might be 1 week break in between from May and end of July, and a little bit about the CYPG course contents and a little bit about the faculty. I know that's a lot. We can start with just the recording portion and then maybe move into schedule and content.
Sure, I can tackle that question. Thank you for the question. So the classes are not recorded. So the way that we've designed the courses, I don't know if you're familiar with almost a flipped classroom approach, then it might be very similar to that. If you're not, it's basically you have a lot of agency as the learner. You can engage in the content throughout the week. It is structured in a way that you can go through it by yourself. So the expectation would be that you would work through the content. There are lots of practice activities. There's lots of preparation for you to do. And then when you're in the live session, those are meant to be really active sessions. So what those could look like could be very different. It could be small group work. It could be conversations with the instructor. There's always a planned activity in there somewhere. It might actually be giving you time back to work on an assessment that you would have with the live instructor available to you if you have questions. So they're meant to be really interactive, so recording them wouldn't hold too much value. They're not meant to be lecture based, so all of the sessions are meant to be actively based, and then also provide you an opportunity to ask the instructor questions should you have any. So we don't record them. In terms of the class schedules, we do offer a 90-minute live session every single week. Now, there are agendas posted in the course shelf. So you can go in, you can look, you can see what is happening in that week. And then that way you can make a choice. Is this going to be a session that is going to be a good fit for you? You know, do you have the time? We wanted to try to make it really flexible. So in the event that you do have something come up where you can't come to class that week, you're not actually going to miss out on any of the content that you need to be successful in the course. It just might be an opportunity that you don't have to connect with your instructor or participate in an activity. But that said, your instructor is always available via email to you as well.
That's such a great answer, Aubrey. And like knowing from like hearing from the other students that we speak to on a day-to-day basis, we know that this blended approach, what they like about this is there are times where you can actually join these live sessions and collaborate and learn actively from these sessions. And then, like you said, right, if there is something that comes up, you can always reach out to your instructor. They're always available by email, and the flexibility really comes there. So thank you for sharing that. Next question is, how is program evaluation changing with all the AI and data analytics stuff that's happening right now? So that's always a question that we get. Yeah, whoever wants to start that, go ahead.
I can jump in with that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely AI is influencing every or many fields anyways. It's been so super helpful for evaluators. I am using it in a few different ways. Evaluation is changing because and probably the biggest way is that we're using it now to help with data analysis. Usually when you do, or historically when you've been doing qualitative data analysis, it's very, very, very time consuming because you're reading blocks of material, whether it be a focus group or interview, and then you go through it iteratively and make themes and go back. With AI, you can speed up the process. You still need to do the thinking behind it for sure. But definitely there are tools out there which I use, CoLoop, if you're interested in looking it up. It is a tool that is really helpful for qualitative data analysis. There's also more quantitative tools that are being enhanced with AI features. In one of my projects that I'm doing as well, we're building a database of different measures, 1,300 different measures, And we're using AI to help users select measures from this database based on a program description that they provide. So AI is being integrated into evaluation.
That sounds really exciting. Being able to use all those tools and doing those analysis sounds like it's a lot of fun actually. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know we have another question about the demand of program evaluation. So, is program evaluation in demand right now in Toronto, or is it more of a niche thing? Is the question.
I
Yeah,
can jump on
yeah, you
that
can
one if
start
you
with
want.
that, and
Or
then
Aubrey, go ahead.
Oh, that definitely want your insights into this, Meg. I would, honestly, I would say that I track program evaluation, job postings, and things of that nature. And over the past couple of years, it's gone up significantly from what we were seeing before. And I think the one unique thing about program evaluation is that, yes, it could be your job, it could be in your job title, but then it could also, some of these aspects could also be components of what you're doing in a position as well. So it might not be that program evaluator title that you're seeing, but it's embedded into those jobs. I will say the skills that you take away from this program are highly applicable to many career fields. It really is based on what Meg was talking about. It's about being curious. And it's about having the frameworks in order to be able to help people assess what's happened so that they can make better decisions going forward. And I think to your point, Meg, about the data and the question about AI, is this program will also teach you how to work with data in a responsible way. So you'll be able to take those frameworks and you'll be able to apply them to new technology tools, whether it's AI or something else, so that you can effectively and safely use data. So I would say from my perspective, just even looking at job descriptions and job postings, the demand is growing. But Meg, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. I think really seeing, you may not see the title program evaluator always, but that doesn't mean that those skills aren't in there. So there, I think there's a bigger focus on real time and continuous evaluation. So you might see titles like the ones that Sarah showed earlier, where funders and organizations want feedback on a more continuous basis. So it's built into job titles like program manager or policy development officer or et cetera. So you will learn how to, design evaluations and manage evaluations that can feed into that real-time learning. So that's definitely something that you'll see. And you also will see an increased, I think, emphasis on policy or systems level thinking. So what are, collective impact strategies that cross multiple sectors like public health and government and education, for example. So you'll learn also how understanding the systems around any particular program is really important. So I think it is growing in terms of people looking for this skill set.
And one more question about AI is, would we be using any of the tools for hands-on experience during the program?
I think if I remember correctly, in the second course, there is some use of AI. Maybe I did see there was a question asking about what the four courses are, so maybe I can just give a real brief
Yeah.
one sentence per. The first course is basically an intro to evaluation, evaluation 101. Second course is more heavily focused on methods. The third course is more heavily focused on interest holders or rights holders that you work with that might be influenced by or interested in your evaluation. And then the fourth course is all about evaluation in context, where you do take that, the context of who you are as an evaluator, where the organization that surrounds the program, and then the bigger context of like the macro context in which the evaluation is taking place. So I think it is in that second course about methodology where you do bring in some AI related work.
Brilliant. Thank you. And I think there is another question about if you will be teaching one of the courses as instructors and talk about faculty. So I know that you will be teaching that course, but anything else you want to share about that, Aubrey or Sarah?
So, in terms of the instructors, all of the instructors in the program are industry professionals. So, they have been working in program evaluation for many, many years. And so, they'll be able to bring that into the classroom. Not all instructors will remain the same. So, we do have different instructors sometimes. So, I can't guarantee exactly who's going to be teaching your course, but we can guarantee that all of them will be industry professionals, much like Meg, who bring really great in-depth expertise to the table. Sarah, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that a lot of the professors that we do have are working industry professionals. They do have that practical and applied lens, as Aubrey was saying. And I do know that anecdotally from the instructors that they really care about the progression. And I'm sure this includes they care about the progression of the learners and their success in the course. So they really want to be there to provide their experience for you in a way that can help you move forward.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I know we have a few questions about people that are switching careers. I think someone who is switching careers from marketing, but no evaluation background. And then another person, Robert, thank you for your question, Robert, is switching from being a municipal policy analyst, aiming to move into a senior role, and looking to know if, skills that you will provide or knowledge that you gain from the certificate will support that transition. And if you have anything to say about that.
hmm Well, Robert, I used to work as a municipal policy in a municipal policy role as well, and yeah, I think the skills that you're going to learn here will definitely be providing you with that knowledge and the skills. Someone else about a marketing background, or if you have no background at all in evaluation, it does bring you that whole, like that entire spectrum you will learn. I myself, like I said, my background was in sociology. So when I entered evaluation, my first job as an evaluator, I didn't even really know what I was doing. I think they hired me because of my strong research skills, but I didn't really have the theory behind evaluation. How is evaluation different from, the background that I already have? So you will learn that in this certificate program. And so the other thing that I will say is even after practicing evaluation for 10 years or so, I still wanted to test myself to see, am I really an evaluator? And so that's when I went ahead and tried to do that credentialed evaluator certification through the Canadian Evaluation Society. So similarly, this certificate program will really help you get that grounding to help you move towards becoming credentialed.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. I know there's a few questions about time needed for studying and clarification about if it's 5 to 8 hours per course, including class time or on top of the class. So I know Dan, our client service advisor, has already answered this, but just for everyone else, the 5 to 8 hours per week would be in addition to the class time. And for opportunities to have class in person, the lectures are held virtually online through Zoom. So right now they're not held in person. And anyone who wants to apply, please reach out to us. We have the uh, resources and support that you may need, and we can help you apply if you need help with that. But there is the application link. You can just go there and start up your application from the website. Oh, actually, the 5 to 8 hours includes the 90-minute session. So just to clarify that, my apologies. Okay, so going to our next question is, oh, I think we did talk about the municipal analyst. Okay, so Shubnam with another question. Sorry, Shubham with another question. Thank you, Shubham. I'm taking this course to accelerate my career. Um, a certified professional working as a project coordinator, and operations role, looking to get into strategic progression roles, PM specialist. And I struggle with strategic thinking and communicating them. So I'm guessing he, they're trying to know if that's something that they can um, improve or learn when going through this course.
Yes, I would definitely say that's something that as a learner in the program you would practice are those skills. And I look at it in a lot of ways. I went back to school, I took some project management courses a couple of years ago, and what I found really helpful was that I was already doing project management in my day to day, but it gave me frameworks and language that I could then be more effective in what I was doing. And I think that's one of the things that this program brings to the table is it will help give you those frameworks and the language and also the practice in a low stakes environment to try out these skills to get some really great feedback from instructors so that you can practice before you actually have to implement it. And to that question, we do have one of the courses in the program, 622, does deal with interest folders and communication. And that course is really structured to take learners through an experience where they have to persuade people to or see things from a certain perspective. Like, what are those difficult challenges that you might have with someone who wants an evaluation? They've got some great ideas about what they think is appropriate. And then how do you address those challenging situations from an evaluation perspective so that you can get the evaluation in more of like an ethical light? It also gives you a lot of opportunities to deal with those kind of difficult situations, get some really good feedback from your instructor so that you can practice those in the classroom before you actually have to practice it in the field.
And
Awesome.
can
Thank
I
you.
just
That's a great
add
answer.
something
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
that? Yeah, so evaluation is kind of one side of the coin of strategy or strategy planning. So as you are learning about evaluation, you're going to learn about logic models and theories of change. And those are critical to strategic planning. So if you want to learn about strategy, as you go, like I said, it's two sides of the same coin when you learn about performance measurement, strategy, evaluation. They're all uh, interconnected. So yes, that should help as well.
We've got a question about research or stats background. So they're asking, if you actually need a stats or research background to keep up, because they don't like stats. So, if they do have it, is it helpful? And if they don't have it, is it difficult to keep up? I guess that's the question.
I can say no, you don't need that. You don't need to have a research background or statistics background. In the methods course, you learn about methods, but it doesn't presume any background already. If you have it, you'll be having a leg up, but it's not a requirement.
Awesome, thank you. And then any tools like SPSS, Excel, or any data visualization tools that we're going to be using in the course.
That's also a great question. So the courses were designed to be easily accessible. So if these tools will be talked about, so you'll understand what they are and why you would use them for different types of evaluations, but we're not going to ask you to use SPSS or get into in vivo or any of the more deeper statistical analysis tools. If you have experience in those and you would like to do more through the university, you can get access to some of the tools. So that would be something that you would be able to work with if you'd like to, but it's not something that's a requirement of the course.
And then the next question is, after I finish this, what kind of entry-level jobs should I realistically be going for? Like, they're looking for, yeah, what's realistic to as a first step?
That's a really great question. I would say that a lot of it's contextual. So it might also, it's kind of like looking at the picture as a whole. So it would really depend on what type of experience, what your background was, what you were already bringing to the table, because that might open up different opportunities depending on what that looks like. What I will say is that with these programs, once you enroll, you become part of the Chang School community, you do get access to free career services, and that's a big range. I know Sarah already talked about it, but there are one-on-one sessions that you can have with our career advisors. You can have resume support. There's flash mentoring, there are career guides. So there's a lot of opportunities if you need some assistance in kind of figuring out what your next step is. But I would say that that's definitely something that's very contextual, depending on kind of what the full picture looks like. But Meg, you might have some other good insights as well.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to say similar to you. You come as a full package. So your educational background is one factor that a hiring manager will look at. And there are lots of other factors that they'll look at as well. Um, but yes, you will gain some really, important skills. I do know that over the years that I've been involved in this role, you do see an increasing focus on like hiring managers want to see proof that you've been trained in this way, or you have some sort of like formal credential or something. So that will always give you a leg up.
Love it. Thank you. Is the coursework more hands-on and practical, or is it a lot of theory and readings, or a mix of both? If you could maybe elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. The program was meant to be as practical as possible or as feasible in the type of environment in which we're working. So there will be some theory that you will need to learn. There's a lot of great methodologies and tools. There's information that you will need to absorb and retain. However, all of the things that you're doing alongside that are going to be more practically based. So there's a lot of ways for you to apply your knowledge, a lot of different types of scenarios. A lot of the assessments that you're doing will be mirroring components of a real world evaluation or the steps that you would take as an evaluator. So you'll absolutely get, to Meg's point, something that you could potentially use to demonstrate some of your expertise and that you've actually participated in some of these activities. But Meg, I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah, once again, I mean, evaluation is an applied science, right? So it wouldn't make any sense for us to teach this course and not have you apply it. So really all about like evaluation is all about usefulness and actionability. So I think you'll find that even when you have a like a module page that has content on it that's like theory, it's always going to have like an applied message to it. How would you apply this in the real world? And then also um, a practice example or like a case study or something like that.
Perfect. I know there's one more question from Shubham about industry engagement other than from the instructor. So I can tell you that we periodically have networking events. So they're sometimes in person, sometimes virtual. And during these networking events, there are industry leaders that attend, and then there are also current and former learners that are attending, some prospective learners that are attending that are coming from different backgrounds as well. So please definitely look at our website, and you'll always see upcoming events that are happening, and feel free to join them. Okay, I think we've answered the one about taking 621 and 22 at the same time. And yeah, if, just for everyone else, if you have the time and availability, you can definitely take both the courses at the same time. Okay, looks like no more open questions. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you Meg, Sarah, Aubrey, Dan, Dave, and Luke, everyone for bringing it all together and sharing your insights, your knowledge. And thank you to our attendees for coming up with some such great questions for the dialogue. We love to hear more from you. If you are interested in this program evaluation website, please visit our uh, website at continuing.torontomu.ca. And if you have any other questions, feel free to contact me directly at mash.chaudhry@torontomu.ca. The contact information and all of the information that was shared will be sent as a recording with the survey within the next 24 to 48 hours. And on behalf of the Chang School and our speakers today, thank you for joining us, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.